Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Coffee Talk with Celestine Grace and my special co-host, Tina Godin. Did I say it right?
You sure did.
Sweet, go me. And our person who's being interviewed, who's distracting me right now, is the great, wonderful, one and only, I might add, Anthony Bourdain. Tony Bourdain, as everybody knew him, and he's clapping for himself. And so, before we start this episode, I want to talk frankly to everybody about suicide. It a lot of times seems like the easy thing to do or the hard thing to do, but I want you to know that there's always somebody to talk to. Because other people have done it, it does not mean that it's your path or that your whatever it is can't be solved. So I want you all to know. All right. So, he's like, got that out of the way. That's good. Gave me a high five. He wanted everybody to know that. Anthony is the one who had me write this tonight, just so everybody knows. Okay. So I asked him, dude, like, what song would you have picked to, like, represent your life here? And I'm not going to play it, and I'm not going to sing it, or maybe I will sing it, I don't know. But it's by the Ramones, and it's called I Want to Be Sedated. I think everybody remembers that. I want to be sedated.
Yeah.
And he picked that song because he said that's how he spent most of his life in some form. Not sober. Wanting to make the pain go away and trying to do anything that he could to make that happen. So, he's ready, and handsome fella that he is sitting here. So he doesn't have all the white hair he did when he passed. And hold on one second, it looks like Nikita. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. And tell me, please, is it Nikita? How do I say your name?
Yes. Nikita, that's it.
Terrific. Well, Nikita, since you're our guest with a question tonight, we're going to have you ask your question of Tony first.
My question, if it's a little personal, my question is, so when I saw the posting to pick a number between 1 and 10, I was going to pick 7. It was like 14 minutes into the posting, so I was going to pick 7, and I saw somebody already did it, and something told me to pick 3. So I picked 3, and that was the number. So I feel like it has some kind of meaning, like I'm supposed to obviously be a general message for me, or
So he says that, of course, there's always a meaning, and you were supposed to have picked that. He says you have some personal question. Do you cook?
Yeah, but not like,
Not like that. Like he's
thing.
just right?
No, not like him.
No, he's like shit. He talks to me the same, and I see him just younger and hear him, and he's got the same attitude, the same, North Jersey accent that he did. And he goes, shit, girl, there's a reason for everything. You were supposed to. Is there a personal message? Not really. You're meant to ask a question. Whatever your question was, you shoot now and just give it to me. And if it applies to you personally, great.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was watching a YouTube video today. Tommy Sotomayor, I don't know if he's familiar with him. And he just pretty much was saying that Anthony probably was just heartbroken that lost the depression and the suicide. So did that have anything to do with him taking his own life? Like, as far as love in his life?
Absolutely not. He said, what I did had nothing to do with anybody but me. There's no one ever responsible for anybody else's suicide, to be honest with you. He says it is, a choice that we make. So, was anybody else responsible for that? No, I have to tell you, it was a struggle. It was a struggle from the time that I was young all the way through my adulthood with depression. And it didn't have to be anything that triggered it. But I would spiral down into this deep black hole. And there are a lot of times that I could get up and get out. And sometimes it was harder than others. I think that's all he has to say about that. He just was like, do you have more?
Well, I don't know too much about him, so I'm not really sure what to ask him.
Okay.
It's
all good. He said that was a great question. And actually it's a great question for everybody. Are we responsible for anything that anybody else says or does? Not really, no. No, and yeah, he says that's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Awesome. I did jot down some questions, but they were more so personal, so I was like, I should ask these.
So if you think there's something personal that would apply to other people, you can ask it.
Okay. Let's see. This is a question I have. Okay, so I always have this sense of wanting to be free. I'm an Aquarius, and we have to be free. We have to have our freedom. And I wondered, probably like yesterday, was I like in some kind of bondage in a past life? Have I had past lives, or have I reincarnated?
Well, he's deferring to me, the medium, for that answer. Okay. Everybody's had past lives, and yes, you have reincarnated. And is this a past life thing? This is a recurring thing that comes back for you, right? And the feeling of freedom is just that, a feeling. It's a mental state. And that's not something, perhaps you feel like you achieved in those past lives. So here you are in this lifetime to figure out that you're free as long as you think that way. The only thing that keeps us tied are our thoughts to the outcome. So think about what you feel not free about. Okay, what you feel is not free in your life, and why that's a point that's very sensitive for you. Thanks, Anthony. He just gave me a high five. He's like, good job, man. Thanks, babe. I got this. Okie dokie. Well, thank you so very much for your questions and your time. And Anthony's going to come over and give you a kiss on the cheek. And he wants to thank you for watching and having an interest to find out who he was. All right. Much love.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Okay, Tina. Let's get on with the questions. Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you, Nikita. That was wonderful. She's so sweet.
Oh, she is so sweet. So,
absolutely. Okay. So today I wanted to be able to sit with Tony and just chat a little bit before we get to the questions. First of all, I want to say thank you so much, Tony, to have this opportunity to speak with you. It's truly an honor. I've been following your show and some of the personal things going on in your life prior, and a lot of documentary information, and definitely connected to some of your experiences. I even tried to cook some of the meals that you had prepared, and so it's funny, and I thoroughly enjoyed the shows that you did too. It's like I was on an adventure with you as well. So I
He
got to
goes like
see all
this too.
kinds.
He goes like this.
Yeah.
Is what he does,
Oh,
much in
that's awesome.
the Johnny Carson style. And when you were mentioning about you trying to cook some of his dishes, he did a face bump.
Yes. It just didn't happen, Tony. It's not going to happen ever. But you truly inspire me, and this is I can't thank you enough for being here today and speaking to us today and everybody else that's going to be watching.
He is
And
so honored that you watched. He's very grateful.
Thank you. That's so nice. I keep hearing his nickname, Mr. T, is what I keep hearing too on my end, Mr. T. So it's pretty funny. And I was connecting with him today just to think of questions, what I was going to be talking about. He kept correcting me and saying, "Hey, that's Mr. T to you." So
Well, he kept calling himself Anthony when he first was knocking at my energy here. And I'm like, Anthony? And he goes, yeah, just say Anthony. He goes, my old friends and, my family, they call me Anthony. I'm like, okay, Anthony, but everybody, you even called yourself Tony on the show, so we're going with T.
That's funny.
He's so funny. He's just so funny now. I have to tell everybody, as droll as he was when he was here, but happy. So, shoot, he's ready. His legs are back. He's got no socks on. He's got his feet out. Pair of Doc Martens or Doc Siders on. And a nice tan going. And he's got, they're white pants, They're not even jeans. They're just really chill. And he's got on this blue shirt. And it looks like he's actually on vacation, not like even filming the show. Like he's just laid back and ready. But okay, sorry. That's what he looks like today, folks. And he said to mention that he looks like he did when he was in his 30s. Okay. Shoot.
All right. So the first question comes from Jerry, and I don't know if you want me to say the last name.
First name's good. Hi, Jerry. She knows who she is.
Okay. And Jerry says, Tony said the one place he would not visit was Switzerland. He didn't know why. The alpine topography and the cheese and the felt hats freaked him out. Has he found out why he didn't like that area? And also, he died in the Alsace region, very alpine. Did that place in Alsace contribute to his depression?
He said everything in life contributed to my depression, honestly. But my unrealistic fear of Switzerland was just that. And it was really that I just had some internal dislike for cheese and a neutral country. How can you be neutral about anything? That was my thought when I was there. I tell you. You see, I was very opinionated, and that's not quite a secret. So how could anybody be neutral? And that was my basic problem with them at the time. The cheese was an excuse. Everybody knows I like stinky cheese. Thank you, Jerry, for that question.
And this one comes in from Paulette. She says, Anthony, I'm very sure you're glad to be home. I'm kind of fascinated by the death experience itself and would like to know what yours was like. How did it feel? When did you know you had pulled it off? Were there people there for you? Were you scared? And how did things proceed, and how are they proceeding now? What will come next for you?
Okay, it's a whole lot of questions which the medium won't remember. So let's go with the first couple. His death experience. Was that the first one, right?
She asks about his death experience. How did it feel? And when did he know he had pulled it off?
Okay. So, Paulette, hello, Paulette. Thanks for the question. And when I connected with Tony at very first, and I knew that he was gone, but they didn't tell anybody how he went. I knew he hung himself because he restricted my breathing right at the base of my neck, and that's generally my sign for hanging of some sort or asphyxiation that way. And and then I asked him, so what the heck, man? You know, what happened? What happened? Who'd you see? What the hell? And he looked at me and he goes, that's exactly what I expected to see was hell. And I said, okay. And he goes, and he is still so philosophical. He sits back as if he had a cigarette, you know, one of his favorite vices while he was here. And he goes, so I'm up in the ceiling, you know, and I'm observing what I did to myself. He takes a puff, right? How ironic that I quit smoking how many years ago so I wouldn't end up dead, and now look at me. Okay, I did it. It's done. It's a done deal. There's no going back now. So, okay. I believed in nothing. Now what? And it was at that moment of, now what? That thought is where he made the journey back to heaven when he realized that there was more than nothing after this. And he said, this is going to seem so ironic when I tell you all this, because everybody thinks la 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 angels and Jesus and all that shit happens, right? He says, but for me, that's not what happened. My friend, my now friend, Kate Spade, was there standing behind my shoulder. We had a bit of a conversation. And Kate asked to be with us tonight as well. And she is bubbly and happy, and she is free. More than anything that she could describe as Tony is. And that's the energy that they are in now, is freedom. But she said, you know, Tony read what I did. He read all about it. He thought to himself, oh, it worked. It worked for her. And then Tony is looking at me and he's telling me. And then I said to myself, if that bitch can do it, so can I. And that's why Kate met me. Not that she felt responsible. Because again, no one is responsible for anybody else. Or taking anybody else's life. But she was there to help because she understood the depression and the feelings that led to that ultimate despair. And the feeling that no matter what you do, accomplish, make a billion, trillion, gazillion dollars, be the president of the fucking world, that it wouldn't matter. That you'd still feel like shit in the end. And that's what we shared. So she took me up there. And you don't get nervous, on this vibration. It's really a hard thing to describe. It's peaceful. It's anticipatory, but not nervous. Then I got to do my life review. Oh, some of it's so good, some not so good that I felt, right? We don't judge. We don't get judged. Nobody's up there going, Tony, you're a fucking asshole. That doesn't happen. But you feel the feelings that you caused everybody to feel. And that's the hard part. My friends, that's the hard part. So what do I do now? I talk to people. I talk to everybody. I'll talk to anybody who will listen. Life's worth living. I want you all to know that. From this side, like I ask Celestine to post, when I think about the life experience now, from this side, how do I feel about that? Life is not a journey, nor is it a destination. It's a series of taking in of each and every moment and feeling it and appreciating it and then releasing it so you can go on to the next little moment and realize everything's worth it and everything is love. So Paulette, I hope that answered your question.
Well, that was helpful. Thank you for sharing that, Tony. That was very touching. Paulette does say, was he scared? Did he have a feeling of feeling scared when he crossed over?
No, he's saying no. Scared? No. I was expecting nothingness, but I wasn't scared of that.
She also says, do you have any advice for those who feel they want to leave here? She shares a personal experience and does ask that question.
What does he say to somebody who may be considering suicide?
Yes.
Write it down, peeps. That's his answer to your question. He made me write that down before we even started.
Yeah.
So, my good friend Eric Medhoos wants to just pop in here. Everybody say hey to my best bud and Elisa Medhoos' son, Eric, who took his own life back in 2009, and he just wanted to let everybody know this. Hey everybody, what's up? What's happening? Suicide is never the answer. There are some of us who have done it as an exit point because we couldn't climb out of it. But I want you all to know, you must reach out. If you're having those feelings, if you think you can't go on, somebody will listen. Call somebody. Talk to somebody. Talk to anybody. You will deal with whatever it is that you want to leave this world for, either on this vibration where we're at now or on your vibration. I'm going to just say that when you're in the human and in the physical, you can push back and you can touch and you can have a physical conversation with somebody and say, ah, you did me wrong, or I feel like this, or whatever, and they have the chance to either say, you're an asshole, or I'm sorry, or whatever, right? But you know that you can do that in the physical. When you're over on this side and you have to deal with it over here, it's a very different set of circumstances in dealing with things. It's not the same. It's not better. It's a longer process. Comparatively speaking, figuratively speaking, there is no time. I'm just saying. Peace out, everybody, for now. I love you. Always, always ask for help.
Thank you. Okay, so Alexa has a question here.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, how did he feel about using his career to highlight the experiences of minorities and conflicts? Did that empathy come from his own experiences?
Part of my issue with depression is that I was a huge empath and I felt things, and I didn't have to experience the pain to feel empathy for the person going through whatever hardship that was. There's, sure, plenty of shit in my life, but nothing like I saw. And I believe that was the highest and best good of my shows, was to highlight the areas that are needing attention, and to use my show, my fame, my whatever, for the betterment of anything or anybody. For Christ's sakes, fuck yeah. It sure didn't make me want to stay here, all those experiences and helping people. But if that's what that show did, then fuck yeah.
Okay. And Heather has a question here. The team is up a little bit here. A little bit of humor with this one.
Okay.
She says, was the picture that was taken of him nude posing with a large bone hiding his parts, was the bone animal or human?
They poked my eye out. He goes, that bone was all mine, baby. Yeah. It was more of the plastic variety.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's too funny. He's rather proud of that. He says, oh my goodness, he says, I was drinking pretty heavily in those days, and I showed my shit to anyone, but quite normally without alcohol, I wouldn't have done that. Yes, you would have. And he's gone, maybe. All right. Good one, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. And Jason comes in with a question, and
Sure.
he asks, Tony, what was your favorite food?
Jason, hey, and thank you for the question. So this one's a hard one for him. He sits back and he goes, what wasn't my favorite food? But honest to God, to tell you the truth, there are two things that could make me want to compare food to an orgasm. One is bone marrow. When it's done correctly. Oh, and he's like this. Oh. And I'm like, right? And he's making fun of me again. It's okay. I don't care. I don't have a palate for that. He even says, I love a good burger. That was one of my other favorite foods. He says, nothing like a good burger at the end of the night. Greasy, cheese, some fried onions after you've worked a long shift and you've drank a lot and you need some of that grease to soak up the alcohol. You did some other stuff. Yeah, I would pick that too. Good. And organ meat. No, God, I don't want to know about that. Thank you. We're done. I hope that answers your question, Jason.
That's funny. Thank you, Jason. Laura asks, did your depression start before or after your heroin addiction?
So he sits back, and thank you for the question, by the way, very thoughtfully on this one, and puts his hands behind the back of his head and crosses his legs. And he says, what I'm more trying to remember is a time when there wasn't depression. The depression's what led to the alcoholism, what led to the drug addiction, to the heroin. Because let's be honest here, everybody does heroin because they don't want to feel. And that's what heroin does for you. And you don't want to feel because of, in my case, depression, not feeling good enough, not ever feeling enough. And how ridiculous was that? Everybody could see how successful I was. You could see and know just about how much my bank accounts were. But I didn't feel successful because the loves of my life couldn't deal with my depression. So it was always there.
Thank you for answering that, Tony. Jake has a question. He says, what does he think about the world now from the other side? And does he have any valuable spiritual tips for being a young traveler in today's world?
Jake. Thank you, Jake, for the question. And Tony's going. So, from the other side, yeah. Like I said earlier, don't feel like your life's a destination or a journey. Take in all the moments. And as a world traveler, from this world traveler to you, Jake, just that, be a world traveler. Find your passion. Don't let anything hold you back from that. That's it.
Okay. And Jerry writes in and says she talks about the enormous amount of stress that he was under with the TV show. And many times folks in the industry have to put themselves first before the product. And I am likely to believe the pressure contributed to your death, along with loneliness and alcoholism. My question, were you on prescription meds, as I included when you passed?
Hi, Jerry. Of course, that stress contributed to my depression, but it wasn't stress that anybody put me under. It was all that I put myself under to do better, see better, piss people off better. And yes, the alcoholism had a factor in everything. And what was her question in the end? I'm sorry.
Was he on prescription meds as she intuited when he passed?
Well, I'm talking in my head about this prescription med thing because he was prescribed things from his doctor, he said, for depression and everything else. And yeah, they're going to find that there, but they're going to be surprised to see that the prescription meds, he didn't take as much as he was supposed to. And that's one of the contributing factors. to his death. He said, I got so depressed. They gave me all the meds. I just got tired. I got tired of taking them. I got tired. I was tired. I was soul tired, he says. So yeah, they did contribute, but not in the way we think. They'll find, he says, non-prescribed medicine in his system as well. Narcotics.
Okay, and that's all we have for questions this evening.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Tony, for answering all those questions for our viewers here. I have one question.
Sure.
Okay, what, if you could name a few places that you thoroughly enjoyed traveling to, just, you know, your favorite places, what would those be for you when you were here on the Earth planet?
Vietnam was one of them. My all-time favorite to be anywhere at any time, other than my New York is France. But to travel as a destination, Vietnam is beautiful. Phnom Penh. Then he's showing me Greece. He's showing me all these scenes, too. I don't think that he can actually even just pick one, because he just looked at me and he goes, how can I pick out of all this stuff, man? He says, I saw some shitholes. I can tell you more about those than I can, you know, because there were less of those. And even in the shitholes, may I say that the people were wonderful. And they were people. And I respected them, and I respected their cuisine as they did me. And I was grateful for every experience, from those types of places to the best cuisine ever. So he and Kate just want to come in one more time and let everybody know. Call the suicide prevention hotline. If you have thoughts or think you're having thoughts or feel like you need anybody to talk to. So I want to thank everybody tonight. Nikita Parker earlier, and my good friend and special guest, Tina Godin. And of course, Anthony and Kate Spade here. And my good dear friend, Eric Medhus. And everybody check out Eric's mom's site. It's channelingeric.com and read about Elisa's experience. There's so much incredible information there. And much love to you, Elisa, Eric, and Tina. And thank you, everybody, for watching. This was Coffee Talk with Celestine Grace. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Love you.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here